Good evening to all the professionals who have logged in today, Sunday evening. I think this would be a different kind of presentation altogether, in which all of us would learn how to give effective presentation. I am sure that being engineers, architects, and construction professionals, we need to have a good presentation skill, because through which we can always present our ideas, and whatever is there, it can reach a maximum number of audience. So it goes without saying that the presentation skills are very important. So today we have architect Gautami Chandrasekhar with us, who would be talking about this particular topic on presentation skills. Now, before I go to the speaker, let me just, as usual, briefly give you some of the major initiatives that we have taken over the years. Just a 10 minutes, this thing I would just let you know. In the recent past, what has happened is that we have developed various brands of cement, like say, for example, for specific applications. We have the Portland Pozzolana cement, out of which we have the Ramco Super Crete cement, Ramco Super Fine, Ramco Super Grade, and Karthik Super Plus, which are the Portland Pozzolana cement. And Ramco Samudra and Ramco Super Steel, as you can see from the slide, are Portland Slag cement. So we have Portland Pozzolana cement and Portland Slag cement, both which are coming under the broad category of blended cement. So we have that, and that helps us to ensure that the construction professionals use blended cement, because that is how they get to have the durability in concrete as well. So that is very important. Apart from that, we have the ordinary Portland cement, because there are some project professionals who use what you call the RMC units, the RMC plant, and there they need to use ordinary Portland cement, 53 grade, 43 grade, 53 grade infra, and 43 grade infra. Now the infra is nothing but that cement which gives you a longer slump retention. And then we have the Ramco Super Fast for precast applications, and Ramco Super Coast, which is a sulfate resisting Portland cement. So you would have seen altogether there are 12 brands of cement, which are coming under the broad categories of PPC, PSC, ordinary Portland cement, sulfate resisting Portland cement, and rapid hardening Portland cement for specific applications. So that is a kind of this thing that we have got. And apart from this, we have got dry mix range of products from our dry mix plant. That is Ramco Tile Fix is there, Ramco Super Plaster is there, Ramco Block Fix, Super Fine, and Tile Grout. Now these products are specifically meant for non-structural applications. And we have the Ramco Research Development Center, which does a lot of works in the area of concrete mix design, as well as in the area of testing of blending materials as well as cement. Now this is very important, because you need to connect between the site as well as the laboratory kind of thing. That is where we have the Ramco Research Development Center, which bridges the gap between research as well as practical applications. So I will just show you a pictorial representation of some of the equipments that we have got. We have got equipments to analyze elements quantitatively and qualitatively, which is not necessary as per BAS this thing, but this is something which is state-of-the-art technology that we have got as far as evaluation of materials are concerned. Then we have got particle size distribution of powder materials, analysis of that, and submicron level particle size distribution of powder materials, equipments for doing that. Thermal behavior of cement raw materials and concrete. As you can see from the pictorial representation, many of the equipments are highly sophisticated, and it needs to be, it is all connected to the computer, so that you get online analysis of everything. Analyze the surface area and micropores of fine materials like fly ash, fly ash. We have the materials. Then, of course, we have the normally used equipment, which is nothing but to check the compressive strength of concrete cubes and flexural strength. So that is what we have got. And we have got the durability testing equipment, the RCPT apparatus, to analyze the permeability of concrete and its long-term durability. And we have the microscope for analyzing the optical properties at incident and polarized light. So that particular equipment we have got. And we have got various other microscopes for analyzing the orientation and stereoscopic view of minerals. And these are some of the other equipments that we have got. So there are a host of equipments at our research center. I do not want to go into the details of that, but suffice it to say that these materials and these equipments gives us a broader overview of all the products that we are having and how it can be used. Now, we have equipment for checking the durability of concrete, the DIN standard permeability test, which is as per German standards, where specimens, instead of passing charges, we have got water penetration as one of the, and we have some of the major awards, of course, the Four Leaves Award, which is there for leadership in technology, energy efficiency, and ensuring that the blending materials are being used. Some of our major customers, we have got a number of.
Sir, not having you in the panel, the slides are also not visible.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, Gautami ma'am, can you see the slides?
No, I can't see the slides, sir.
It was on a few seconds ago, it vanished, sir, and neither can I see you in the panelist list.
Okay, okay. So I think there is some problem. There is a bandwidth problem, I believe. I'll just come back.
Yeah, you can log out and log in back again or something, sir, because...
You are able to hear me? You are able to hear me?
I'm able to hear you loud and clear.
Okay. But only thing is that the slides were not shown. No? Just a minute.
Plus, I can't see your name in the panelist, sir.
Okay, okay. I think there is a bandwidth problem. Just a minute.
Okay.
I'll join back.
Sure, sir. I regret the inconvenience caused. I am sure that Anil sir will join us soon. Thank you. Gautami ma'am, I will be making you the presenter unless Anil sir joins. You can keep your PPT on as well. You can share your PPT. You can keep the first slide on. I've made you the presenter unless Anil sir joins. Can you do it, ma'am?
I've done it. I've done it. Can you see my presentation first slide?
No. I just changed you to the presenter role now, ma'am. So you'll have to do it again. Until now, it was sir.
Okay, I have to share it once again, right?
That's right, ma'am.
Suraj,
Sir,
you are able to hear me?
I'm able to hear you, sir. But
yeah. Now what I will do is that without wasting much time,
okay.
let me introduce the speaker also, and she can go ahead because there is some problem. So let us not waste more time of the participants. So yes. We have architect Gautami Chandrasekhar, who is the assistant professor, MS Engineering College, Bangalore, with us. She is a highly energetic, trained professional with over 9 years of experience in diverse field of architecture, project management, training and development in corporate world. She has stressed this knowledge and delivered strategic inputs to the students and employees by interactive approach and made it easy and interesting. Mrs. Gautami has completed a graduation from BMS College of Engineering, and she works as an assistant professor for MS Engineering College and also works as a freelance architect. She is specialized in designing, developing attention to detail, implementing training programs and instruction materials to facilitate and manage education. Her responsibilities are teaching, research, and strategic planning of the department. Her uniqueness, designing, teaching, communication, and training skills are exemplary. Her core competencies are quickly being connected to students and employees with ease and involving them throughout the session. The style of her training and designing is quintessential, and most importantly, the process that she has inculcated in the training and designing modules are more than apt. Her biggest achievement is 100% result throughout her teaching career and has been a topper in the annual performance rating corporate. Architect Gautami has experienced over 22,000 person hours of training delivered in organizational behavior, voice and accent, neuro-linguistic programming, soft skills, personal development, coaching and mentoring skills. In addition, she has hosted shows, writes content, proposal, and has been an orator. And I am sure that this talk would be useful to all construction professionals and would help us in enhancing our presentation skills and would help us to look at that. Over to you, Architect Gautami, and sorry for that technical glitch. Please take over so that we need not waste much time. And over to you. Thank you for joining us on Sunday evening for this 96th webinar. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you all. And before I start my presentation, I want to be thanking Anil sir, Suraj sir, Shashank sir, and Ramko Suman for giving me a nice opportunity to portray what I wanted to be doing. Today's presentation is going to be completely on how to be giving a presentation more effectively if it's a webinar or a live presentation, but pictorial representation and videos. That's my main introduction, what I want to be teaching you people today or give an insight for today's session. A quick agenda for today's training. So I'll be talking about what's a presentation skill, what's a boring and effective presentation. More important, I have included two things, the structure presentation when it comes to your structure. So I have taken a concrete, cloth and RCC as to be one of the topic, and architecture, the buildings, how to be presenting in a proper manner, or the thesis, what it has to be done. I have been put this. A quick think about what I want to be telling you. I have two pictures here. The heading says audience impact. I have two pictures here which is being put, the picture A and the picture B. If I have to ask as an audience, which picture is very nice to look at or which picture you feel it's more effective, any polling or any audience would tell the picture number 2. That is the host, the webinar provider. That's more effective when you just look at it. In the same, so today what I'm trying to tell is when you put a picture for any topic, whatever you're trying to present, it would make it more effective. So if you have a lot of text in a PowerPoint, people will not be engaged at all. So try putting out pictures to make it very, very, very interesting. Next slide speaks that with a scenario, I just want to tell it. For example, if you go for a movie which you like, and I come back to you the next day and I ask you, how was the movie? So what you're going to tell it, you're going to tell the movie was nice. And I ask people to tell me to describe the summary of the movie, and you describe the summary of the movie in just in 5 minutes or 10 minutes. And why? Because you visually see it. Our brain is being designed in such a way that when you visualize something, 55% is being stored in your brain. So when it comes to visual, when you look at it, 55% is being stored in your brain. And text, when you have text, it's 7% which is being stored. And vocal, if a speaker's voice is very nice, there's a modulation, there's an intonation happening. So 38% we would remember. But visual is very, very important, which would keep it up for a longer time. So if you look at a picture, you remember that throughout your life if you feel it's really, really interesting. This is something about the speaker impact which I want to be telling you. Or to put in a very professional manner, a PowerPoint presentation with text. With the text will disengage the audience. But when you put a visual, it gives the audience what the presenter is speaking about. So that's the main thing which I want to be telling you today. Let's quickly go back. I have made all my presentation to be completely a pictorial kind of a thing. My first slides, it states that why presentation skill? What is my main motto to be giving this presentation skill? I have 6 slides. I'll just play the 6 slides. I'll just quickly go one after the another. I just want you people to imagine what exactly it means. So there's 6 slides and I start. I just give a fraction of a second and go back to the next one. This is my first slide. This has been my second slide. This is my third slide. This is my fourth slide. This is my fifth slide. And this is my sixth slide. So when you look at these slides, what do you understand? To have to be written in a content, look at the content, what I've written. What's my main objective, or what is the presentation skill training? The first one is nothing but structure your presentation. Let me go back to picture. This is my picture and structure it. This is something called as in hierarchies. In your organization, you have your CEO, you have board of directors, you have the general managers. So this is structure in an organization. In the same way, when you are giving a presentation, you need to have a proper structure. The first important when you need to give a presentation is have a proper structure. The second one is I would teach you how to overcome nervousness. Though we might be a good presenter, but if you have 1,000 audience, sometimes you really become panic. So I teach you people, or I'll give you an insight how to overcome the nervousness. This third slide, we always tend to have an attention position when you sit, when you stand. There's something body language which plays a very important role when you have to be giving presentation to people. So this picture states how the movement of the hand is. Look at the person scratching the hand. This has been one of the body language movement that you can't be doing in a webinar or live presentation. It's just that how the movement of your hand should be done. That would be again taught in this presentation. My fourth slide states that what is correct and what is not wrong. What to do when you're doing a presentation is my fourth slide, which I'll be talking about. My fifth slide is how confident you can be speaking when you have to be giving, or how effective you can be when you have to be giving a presentation. And the last slides, this always states that a picture is worth 1,000 words. When I talk about 1,000 words, when you look at the picture, you can easily identify what exactly the presenter is speaking about. And that's what I'm going to teach you for people today. So I'm going to give you insight on structure your presentation, how to overcome your nervousness, what is your powerful body language, what you do during your presentation, what you develop your presentation, and to design a visual aid effectively. Coming back quickly to the another slides. I'm not given any heading here because I wanted people to be identifying. I know it's a webinar where people will not be able to do it. But when you're giving a live presentation, if I ask a layman, what do you understand by this? By looking at this picture, a person would of course tell, this is a speaker who is here. And here is an audience, which is person is here. There is a communication which is happening through and fro. So any layman, when he looks at the picture, even if he's not able to speak, he would be telling us this: a speaker, an audience, and a communication. So what exactly does the definition of a presentation means? You need to have a speaker, you need to have an audience, and your information, your communication is happening through and fro. And what you're trying to do is information message is being sent to the audience. To put it in a proper manner, it's a talk. A presentation is a talk, or it's a talk or a speech where you share your information or a piece of a work to the audience by making the audience to be engaged is nothing but a presentation. So in a presentation, you just share a thought or a process of work or a piece of work to the audience. This is nothing but it's called as a presentation. So I'm here to tell you how to be giving a presentation in a pictorial manner. Again, when I look at the picture, there's a person who's here and here. So don't get biased like she's a girl and he's a guy, not like that. Look at the picture which states that the lady standing here is really giving everyone's attention. She's bringing everyone's attention, and this becomes an effective presentation. It could be a webinar where you're not able to see, but your presentation has to be in such a way that people would really appreciate, or people would learn. More than appreciation, it's learning which has to be happening out here. And this presentation, people are giving a presentation and everybody is sleeping. One person is sleeping, one person is keeping the head on the hand. All this happens when it's a boring presentation. And now if somebody asks me a question, how in webinar do you know it's boring or interesting? You would find people coming, logging in and logging off. That shows that your presentation is boring and your presentation is interesting. Coming back to the next slide. Why we do not present well? Why we are not a good presenter, or our presentation is not liked by people? The first one is excessive detail. When you talk about excessive detail, they ask me to just draw an apple. They ask me, draw an apple. But what I do is I draw an apple tree. I draw a basket. I draw a hand who's taking up the apple. This is called an excessive detail. So in your presentation, if you give a lot of detail, then people would not like it. So it should be crisp and clear. That is, just draw an apple, you need to draw an apple only. The second one states that why we do not give a proper presentation is because a slide has lot of text. Look at the text here. This text I'm not able to see at all. This is one of the reason when your poorly designed slide, your presentation is ineffective. My third one states that there's a confusing structure is my point. This is my maze here. Look at the maze. To reach the goal or to find the starting point, it's really confusing where you have to go here, there. In same way, your slide, if you do your slide in a confusing structure, people will not be interested at all. That again, because one of the reasons why your presentation is ineffective. Coming back to the next one, why people do not text, there's something called body language. In a person's body language, look at the body language here. The person is keeping her hand on her cheek, which is really not fine. A person who's keeping a hand on his head, this is a body language, and this is a negative body language where people think that they are not interested. And what is the audience? What is the speaker doing? He's failed to motivate the audience. He's failed to motivate the audience. So if people ask me a question in a webinar, the person is not able to speak when it's 100 of people, how to be motivating. Sometimes you could just give them some small puzzle for a fraction of a second, or sometimes just pop up a question to them and ask them an answer. Just 5 minutes or 2 minutes, you can just finish off this. So the main reason why we are not able to be a good presenter is because we have confusing structure, or body language is not proper, we fail to motivate the audience, we have excessive detail, and poorly slide has always been present. This is the main reason why we are not able to be a good presenter in webinar, or it could be giving a live presentation also. The next slide states that, again, my pictures are in such a way that even if a layman, I know people who are well experienced are watching this, but when I have to be reading about everyone, almost all the person are working as an assistant professors. So I want to be teaching them how people can visualize and how people can be telling what it is. So we have something during a presentation, we have 4 P's happening out here. My first P is something, if a person look, he'll tell me like, it's something looks like this picture looks like something, a plan or something of a house. And this is nothing but your first 4 P's, which is nothing but a plan. So before you do your presentation, you need to be planning your presentation, what's not, who's the audience, what it is, all things should be planned. Coming back to the second slide, a person, look at this picture here, a person is going out for a vacation. So what he's trying to do, he's taken his shoes, he's taken his toothpaste, he's planning and preparing what all he requires. And this is nothing but your second slide, which states that you need to prepare it. So my first one is, when you have to be presenting, you need to plan it properly, plan your presentation. The second one is, you need to prepare your presentation properly. And my third picture, when I come back here, it states that a girl is playing a football. So what is she trying to do? She's practicing it. So before giving a presentation, have a dry run to anybody. You can have a dry run. I had a dry run with my husband twice or thrice. I was telling them, is that fine? So that's nothing called as in practice. A small tip how you can practice before your webinar is, you can stand in front of a mirror and you can speak what it is. And that becomes your very good, you would get a practice. Just stand in front of your mirror and keep speaking as if your mirror is your audience and you're giving a presentation. And the last one is, if somebody goes for a wedding, what we do, we carry a present. It's not that we need to be carrying a present when you go for a presentation. It's just a pictorial representation. So this is nothing but a present. So my 4 P's, any layman who could see is, first, he will plan properly. So we need to plan properly. Second, we prepare properly. Third, we practice properly. And the last one is to be present properly. So here are my 4 P's: plan, prepare, practice, and present. At the end of this session, I'll be talking about present because almost all are well experienced. People know how to plan, you know how to prepare, how to practice. The only thing is present. I'll give you a few insights how to be presenting. It could be a webinar or it could be a live presentation. A very quick recap. This has been my 4Ps. And then what is a webinar? This has been very, very important because now it's a COVID-19 session period. People are not able to go out for office. So almost everybody are doing a webinar. So everybody knows what's a webinar. It's a seminar. So I'll be talking about this webinar, 7 rules, how to be following, how to make a webinar a perfect one. It could be your body language. It could be your how you need to be presenting, how you need to make your slide. All this will be spoken a little later. But for present, what is a webinar? A webinar or other presentation that takes place on the internet, allowing participants in different locations to see and hear the presenter, ask questions, and sometimes answer poll is nothing but your this one. So what it is, you need to have a host. Attendees are there. You have a webinar hosting provider, and it's throughout the location. Look at my picture. If I remove my webinar definition also, any person will look at the picture and tell this is the way it could be done. This seven ways how a webinar has to be presented will be thought a bit later. Fine. Being an architect, I just thought that why don't I add on some structural part when you have to be presenting and an architectural part when you have to be presenting. So what I did is I took a concrete cloth to be one subject where I did a lot of research. I got ideas. I put that completely in pictures. Before I start playing it, I don't want people to ask me technical questions. Please do ask me related to this webinar presentation skill, and I'll be happy to answer people. Everybody knows what's a concrete cloth is. This is a concrete cloth. So I'll be teaching you I'll give you an insight on complete concrete cloth, what it is and what not it is. This is concrete cloth, which is being used here. These are the different places. Let me quickly go back to my next slides where it's something called concrete cloth. I teach my students, or you have to be explaining in your presentations or webinar that it is a flexible concrete impregnated. Impregnated means soaked fabric that happens when hydrated to form a thin, durable, waterproof, and fire-resistant concrete layer. As stated before itself, our brain is designed in such a way that only 7% I could be reasoning. I would be knowing once I finish my webinar. So if I had to pick up, thin was a very easy word. So I would pick up the thin I would remember. I would remember waterproof. This is very easy word. But how I have put this concrete cloth definition in my pictorial is any person who looks at this is a fabric. Everybody knows what's a fabric is. So what happens in concrete? The concrete fabric, and here it hardens. Look at this, what happens? It hardens. And how does it harden? When it's hydrated. What does hydration means? When a water is being put, so it hydrates. And look at the arrows which are specified here. So what is it when it hydrates? What does it form? It forms a thin. Okay, so thin picture here. Durable, waterproof, fire resistant, and lastly a concrete layer, and this is nothing but my concrete cloth. How easy it is when you have a picture to understand, even if a person is not in an architecture department or in civil department. Any layman who looks at it will easily know what we are talking about today. So this is the way we could be presenting much better instead of having a lot of text in our presentation. Again, a concrete cloth is a fabric. It hardens when you hydrate it. And what does you form? It forms a thin, durable, waterproof, fire-resistant concrete layer. This is a definition of concrete cloth. Now, when you talk about concrete cloth consists of, what all it consists of? It consists of this fibrous or fiber top surface, and this is something which is called as a hydrated. Look at the picture. Instead of telling a concrete cloth consists of a dry concrete mix, PVC baking, or reinforcing fiber mattresses, or a fibrous rock or a fiber top surface, you just show people in pictures where people can easily understand, or people will get a visualize of how the concrete cloth looks like. This will be a concrete cloth, and they consist of the top surface is a fiber top surface that is nothing but hydrated. So you pour water, and that becomes, this is nothing but your hydration. And below to that, you have your dry concrete mix. After that, you have something which is called as reinforcing fiber mattress. And the last, you have your PVC backing, or it is called as a waterproof layer. So any person, if you ask them what is a concrete cloth consist, he would easily tell it. It's a top surface, a concrete mix, a PVC baking, or a waterproof layer, and a 3D fiber mattress. Coming back to the next one. How do you the availability of concrete cloths? So there are three types the availability is there. So the first one is called the bulk roll. This is my first one, which is called as a bulk roll. This is my batch roll, and this is my white roll. Now the first one is my bulk roll. A bulk roll, if I have to be telling, the width of my bulk roll is 1 meter into 1.1 meter. This is my bulk roll. My length is almost 4.5 meters and my thickness is 5 mm to 8 mm. Now you would question me like, but your picture does not consist of all that we needed. The picture does not consist of all that we needed. So what I could easily go back to this, and I could be telling here, as I've told you, the market availabilities are this. There's something called, look, the bottom part is something that I've given you a complete detail of how it is. So when I talk about the market availability, look at the bulk roll. So when I tell bulk roll, these are my detailed thing, which I will be telling you what is my length, what is my width, and what is my thickness. But I want you people to get an imagine yourself, or get to know what is a bulk roll is, what is a batch roll is, what is a white roll. But everything, all the data about this, each and every market availability concrete cloth is being placed here. Fine, quickly going back to the next slides. We would go back to the next slides, which states that how do we install it? This is very important, which I went but learned a lot when I have to be doing a pictorial representation. The first one is called subgrade preparation. Second one is called unpacking. Third one is concrete cloth placement, cutting and fixing, channel and non-mechanical fixing, method of hydration, spraying, and finishing. Let me do in detail. This is something which is called subgrade preparation. So if this is my part where the concrete has to be laid, concrete cloth has been laid. The first point what it is, the concrete cloth takes the shape of the host. So when I talk about the host, this part, it takes this shape. Second thing what you have to do is, before placing a concrete cloth, it has to be cleaned properly, remove all the small rocky stones or some stony vegetation so that it could be laid properly. Third, it has to be smoothened before it places it. So once all this is being done, then they lay this concrete cloth on the top. This is nothing but your subgrade preparation. The next slide states that you have something called as an unpacking. So how is unpacking done? I have this to be my bulk roll. So what happens to the bulk roll? They are available in a single bulk and they are placed in a heat resistant wooden pallet. So this bulk roll of concrete cloth is placed in a heat resistant concrete cloth where the size is 1.2 meters into 1 meter. This is the way the packing has been unpacked. How do you unpack it? They're already available in single, and this is where it has to be done. Coming back to batch roll, these are my batch roll. So what's happened to this batch roll is they're covered with polyethylene and they have been placed again on the wooden pallet. And wooden pallet again, this wooden pallet, 10 batch roll could be kept in wooden pallet of size of 1.2 meters into 1 meters. This is the way unpacking has been happened when it comes to your concrete clothing, how it is being done. Coming back to the concrete cloth placement, as said before, they are actually overlapping. If this concrete cloth and this concrete cloth has to be fixed, they are overlapped. they overlap with 100 mm and then they are being placed. Second, the top, the fabric surface comes on the top and the PVC comes at the bottom. This is nothing but a concrete cloth placement. Coming back to the next slide, people ask, how's the cutting happening? Usually we put in this one by stating it's disposable blade, it's a powder disc cutter, it's a tile cutter. Somewhere I felt that if a person wants to be knowing what is a disposable blade, people know disposable blade. If you show them a picture, it will be kept in their mind forever. So how this concrete cloth is being cut? The concrete cloth is being cut by the disposable blade. Then you have something which is called as a powdered disc cutter. This is a powdered disc cutter which is being here, and this is nothing but a tile cutter. So you have different cutters, but the main cutter which is being used for cutting of concrete is your disposable blade, powdered disc cutter, and a tile cutter. A quick thing for your next is like, how's the fixing happening? Usually, the fixing happens by a staple. This is a staple, they're overlapped it and they give you staple. The distance between one staple to the another staple is almost 200 mm. So this is stapling, or the nailing also happens in the same way. This is how the fixing is being done between one concrete sheet to the another concrete sheet. It could be done by nail. The third one, the screw could be fitted. And the next one is nothing but your pegging. This pegging actually happens to the slope kind of a structure, or it's a ground ditch. It's a ground ditch. Even here they use it. And this is nothing but a hog ring. A hog ring is nothing but it's a powdered thing which they just put it off in. These are the different structures. Look at this. When you have to be putting these in a writing format, if you tell staple, nail, screw, pegging, hog ring, people will not understand it. If a person is newly seeing, he will not understand it. But give them a picture how the staple is being done, how the nail is being put, how the screw is being done, how is pegging done, and hog ring is done. People will understand much, much, much better. And the complete detail of this, if you want to be knowing how the staple is being doing, I have all the information given in my PPT where it tells staples, wide range of manuals, the complete details is being given here. So this is the way the fixing happens when it has to be coming out to your concrete cloth. I want to be playing a quick video of how this is being placed. So I would be sharing it to you people and showing you how this concrete cloth is being played. So what I do is I will just share you. I'll share you the video. I'll share you the video how it looks, and then you people can see how the video, I'll play you the video where the video tells you the complete text. Hope this video was really informative. Instead of just speaking out like this is what we are doing, this is the way it has to be stable, a video will be telling you much better how the fixing could be done. So these are the different ways the fixing are to be done. So staple, screw, hog ring, nails, and the pegging. My next slide states the video. Then you have method of hydration. Again, I wanted people to visualize what is immersion or what is spraying means. There are two methods where the hydration can happen. The first method is a spraying and the second method is immersion. Spraying, people know it because they have to just spray it. But when it has to be coming to immersion, what does this picture indicate? This picture indicates that the person is completely soaked inside. The person is completely dipped himself inside. In the same way, what is hydration? Immersion means coming back. I'll just finish my spraying and then come back to immersion. A spraying is being done. It could be used as saline water or the non-saline water could be used. And the ratio should be, if water is to cc, is 1:2 ratio. It has to be there. And what happens is the spraying should be done for an hour. It will be done for an hour and then it will be placing. This is nothing but your spraying. Now, what is immersion happens here? What is immersion when it comes to concrete cloth? So in most of the states, it's very hot. They're very hot. Here, what happens once the spray is being done, it quickly gets dried up. So what they do is they take that concrete cloth, they dip in water. This is the way they dip in. If the person is getting dipped, they dip into water for almost 90 seconds before the other work is being continued. So that's nothing called as an immersion. So when you have to do with methods of hydration, there are two methods. The first method is called spraying. That is the ratio, which is 1:2, water is to concrete cloth. And another one is your immersion, where they dip it and for 90 seconds and then they start using it. And this happens because it is always in the summer season. Most of the states like Bidar is very sunny. So they start with they're using a concrete cloth. All this would be happening out there. Respraying. What is respraying is? Sometimes in warm season, what happens is in the steep or in the vertical structure, what happens? It becomes the water gets evaporated. So to have a better strength, this respray the water to it almost for an hour to have a proper strength. This is nothing but it had something which is called as a respray. Finishing is very, very important, which is very nice thing what it is. What they do is once the concrete cloth is being placed, they paint with an exterior masonry paint. Exterior masonry, look, everything is being a pictorial representation for people to understand what it is. This is an exterior masonry paint. What is an exterior masonry paint? They paint the exterior part with this exterior masonry paint. And the main reason is just for aesthetic purpose. To have a good aesthetic purpose, they try doing this exterior masonry paint. The next one is copolymer concrete surface treatment. Copolymer concrete surface treatments is uniforming it. Uniforming the complete concrete cloth, they uniform it after spraying to have a proper structure here. And the next one, what they do is they'd have the fire retardant paint. And why fire retardant paint? What happens is we have different seasons, summer season, winter season. So for seasons, it should not get burned. So that's the main reason they use a fire retardant paint. This is something of finishing. So if I have to be writing a point about finishing, I just write use exterior paint, masonry paint, a coplanar concrete surface treatment for a uniform structure, and a fire retardant paint because of different season. Ultraviolet to protect from ultraviolet light. And the applications. This has been a very, very nice thing, how it's being used. Again, the main reason for me to presenting in a pictorial form is instead of just writing a text where it tells applications are ditch, slope protection, pipeline protection, ground resurfacing, sand reinforcement, or gabion capping, I have to be putting in pictures for people to visualize what does ditch mean. This is my ditch where they place this concrete cloth here. And this is my slope production. There's a slope. So what they do is they put the concrete cloth in the slope and they fix it as I told you before. A pipeline production. So pipeline production is being done here. This is my ground resurfacing. In the ground, they resurface it. Here is my sandbag reinforcement. Any person who can see this could be explaining. But if anybody, I ask you, what is a gabion capping? People will not be able to tell what is a gabion capping. So gabion capping is nothing but it is just a cage. It could be a cage, it could be a box, it could be a layer where you put sand, your concrete, everything is being stored. Sometimes there's a small crack which is being happened. So when this crack is being happened, what they do is they fix this concrete cloth and that becomes very strong and nothing happens in the future. So this is something in application of my concrete cloth. Our next slide states what are the advantages. Again, instead of writing the advantage is fireproofing, this, that, I make it very easy. First advantage is a concrete cloth is fireproof. Fireproof is thing. It will never get burned at all. This is my first advantage. Second advantage is waterproof. As I told you, immersion, you dip the complete concrete cloth inside it, but still nothing happens. So this is my waterproof. So instead of writing in the form of a text, waterproof, fireproof, why don't you show a pictorial representation to people for people to really understand what it is? Any layman will tell what is waterproof, but a person who do not know, they would of course be asking it. The third point is advantage is adaptable. Previously, I said that you get the size, the width is going to be 1 or 1.1 meter. But according to manufacturer, you can go up to 5 meters and it will go to 16 feet. So that's adaptable. You can have whatever the size you want. So this would be one of my advantage. Yes, chemical resistance. It's chemically, this one corrosion does not take place. So this is being one of my advantage. Environment friendly, people look at the pictures and ask, why is this picture being put when we are talking about concrete cloth? And here it states that with this thing, we made a basket. So this is an environment friendly. In the same way, concrete cloth is environmental friendly where people could be using it. Coming back to quickly to what is a limitation. So what are the disadvantages? The first disadvantage, look at every pictures of mine which states the disadvantage is we cannot add excess of water. You need to have a proper ratio. If you add excess of water, it gets dismantled or it moves and it cannot, the structure cannot be strength or it will not be according to the shape what we want. So excess of water should not be added. This is my first disadvantage. Jet high pressure, you can't give an high pressure. Again, it moves off when you're given high pressure. So limitedly the pressure has to be given. So this is nothing but your jet pressure. And 2 hours. It has to be after spraying, you need to leave it for 2 hours. So this becomes again a limitation or a disadvantage. Next one is when it's a hot climate, the work, this one becomes very less. So you cannot be working because of a hot thing. You need to use more and more water because it evaporates very quickly. So this has been one of my limitations. The next one is it is something called saturated. If it is saturated, if it is not properly saturated, what happens? Again, the strength of the fat man becomes he becomes thin. So the strength really reduces. It's not the fat and the thin. The concrete cloth does not become fat or thin. It's just that the strength it's reduced when you have not saturated properly. These are some of my disadvantage when it has to be coming to concrete cloth. Fine, I had to play you almost 20 slides and this slide I just want to be completing in one word or one slide. So I would just have my conclusion of this concrete cloth is a concrete cloth is time, material here. It's a time, material saving technique. You can save your time, you can save the material, and it is saving. Saving is more important. That's my point number 1. If I have to conclude about concrete cloth. The second one is it's durable. You have Apple phones, even if you break it, it is not. So this is durable and fire protection. Third one is you don't require any mixing equipment at all. All my pictorial presentation states that, see, this does not require a mixing equipment at all. You just need a pipe to spray water on it. This is a conclusion when it has to be coming of the concrete cloth till what I have taught you people. A very quick, I had attended few webinars and somewhere I felt that the text was playing a lot of things. The text was mentioned where, it was difficult to be reading what each text is. So before we could read the text, the presenter was in the next slide. So somewhere I felt that I picked up few slides and I thought, how can I make it much better by putting it? See here, it is just that I imagine the pictures, I put it, and I will tell you what are the action to be started while you're constructing. First action is you have something called monsoon, you have your festival happening. So do not start your construction when it is rainy season or when it is a festival because there will be lot of hurdles. The second one is plan a CPM chart. Everybody knows what a CPM chart is. Critical part. So form a CPM chart, that is when is the starting date and when is an ending date, and plan accordingly that this is going to happen on this month, this is happening. So a CPM chart is very, very important where we have to be doing it. We need to have a supervisor who will supervise our house. So everybody who looks at my picture will tell, wow, this is a supervisor. And you need to have a supervisor to supervise the building before you start your construction. The next one is there's something which is called as a fund. What does fund means here? So before you start your construction, see that you have enough money to pay to your laborers, to pay to the materials, or to pay to whoever they want to. So fund is very important. So instead of writing this in the form of a text, please put pictures for people to really understand in a very quick manner. My next slide states that when you have to be starting your presentation or when you have to start your work, not a presentation of work, what you could do is you have your labor here, you give them a good container so that people could be happy. So provide a proper facility to a labor. So a labor container, so you need to correlate it. And the next one is you need to have a test report of steel and cement approved before you start the construction. So the lot of action you have to be taking up. I just thought that let me just pick up 6 points and just put it in the form of a presentation. So if anybody asks you what, or if anybody tells you, you just tell monsoon and festival, CPM chart, supervisor, fund, labor, test report, and this. This is something which I wanted to be telling the people. Coming back to the next slides. What was the main reason for bad construction? Again, bad construction was written in the form of a slide. It was written in the form of honeycombing, peeling of paint, erosion of mortar, roof crack, dampness. A lot of things. It was almost like 15 to 16 which was written. Instead, why don't we do it in the form of a picture? So I have something which is called as a honeycombing here. I have erosion of mortars, peeling of paint, everybody knows it, roof crack, and dampness you have. For example, if I have to be telling something about honeycombing, everybody knows what a honeycombing is, but if it's just that it's a coarse or a stony structure. See, it is very stony here. And what happens? What's the main reason? The main reason is the mixing is not properly done. And that's the thing of honeycombing. So peeling of paint, anybody might tell. Erosion of mortars, people tell. Roof crack, we tell it. Dampness, people tell it. And honeycombing. So it's a stony structure. Look at this. It's very stony. And this happened because of not mixing. People would have course questions like, we all are well experienced person and we know what is honeycombing is. This is for the people who are learning it, or to make your presentation or webinar effective, I would suggest to please add on with pictures to make it more and more effective. The next slide is something is, okay, what is RC structure built for, or why is RCC structure used to construct a building? The first one is stability. Everybody knows what a stability is. It's stiff. So your structure is stiff. It does not slant. So this is nothing but your stability. What does durability means? It's you're building in such a way that even if something comes and hit, yeah, you can ask me like there's a crane which comes and clashes, definitely it will do it. But if you take a hammer and you break it, it's not going to break. So durability, it's a corrosion does not take place at all. Corrosion does not take place. This is durability, or it's a chemical resistant. This could be one thing. And your RCC is something called safety. Now, what is this picture doing when it has to be for a building? This is just an imagining. See, if a person, before he starts off, they're giving a lot of safety precautions. torsion. In the same way, in RCC building, if there are hurricanes, if there are floods, if there are anything, the building does not get damaged. So that's been one of the reasons for why we have to prefer an RCC structure. Let's quickly go back to the next one, which is nothing but economy. What is money and the plan playing out here? This is nothing for an RCC structure. Your maintenance, it could be easily, yes, it is difficult if you do not have a money, but if you plan it and have a little bit of money also, it's easy to construct it. The maintenance is very, very easy. And then coming back to serviceability, what does she put? She's put, if you people question like why she put some person who's doing a service and that means of that? No. A serviceability is nothing but in your structures, there's no vibration, there's no noise. This is nothing but your serviceability. And what is your strength? Your strength is your torsion, your compression. All this is nothing but your strength. So instead of putting it in a pictorial, instead of putting it in the form of a text, a pictorial presentation would be more effective. And if people are not able to visualize it, the text is being put front, which I've already taken. Let's quickly go back to the next one, which is nothing but what is soil swelling? A soil swelling is nothing but a soil swelling. It's a cohesive soil. What is a cohesive soil? A cohesive soiling is, it could be easily mixed, it could be deforming, and it is a clay. It is what? It's a cohesive soil, that's a clay, and that's nothing but your expansive soil. This is nothing but your a soil swelling. This has been a nice thing. People ask what is a soil swelling. Instead of telling soil swelling is a cohesive soil of a clay, it's an expansive soil. You can easily tell it. It's a soil swelling, cohesive soiling, that's a clay, and an expansive soil. What is an expansive soil if people ask me? It's an expansive soil, it's a clay. It's a clay soil. And what happens here is, it's a cohesive. What is cohesive? It shrinks, it swells, and the changes take place. Why? Because there's increase in the water content. If there's increase in the water content, what is orange making here? If it's increase in the water content, then there's something which is called as an expansive soil. And how does foundation fall? A foundation is like geotechnic. They are geotechnic, technique failure, and structural failure. So when you talk about geotechnic failure, what it is, a geotechnic is nothing but a foundation failure. There is foundation failure. A foundation failure happens here, and this is because of your volume. And here, it's a structural failure because of the substructures. Fine, and the next one is nothing but your next my next slide states that my next slide is something called as, I like this, the property of 3D concrete. 3D concrete is, there's something which is called as extrudability. What does extrudability means? What does extrudability means? This is nothing but you have a niche here. This is a niche here which is being provided, and here you have the concrete, and then it is just being squeezed in. For example, look at the girl who is squeezing in. She's just got up. Just imagine she's squeezing in with one bottle, and here she has a niche which is being provided here. You just squeeze in and it just comes out. In the same way, what is extra durability? Extra durability is nothing but you have a niche, you have concrete being filled here, and it just keeps moving out to the shape what you wanted it. This is nothing but your 3D concrete with an extra durability. Coming back to the next slide, this is very, very important, which I wanted to add it before I move on to the architectural part, which I want to be telling you. There's 7 tips here. We know the audience. We know it is like you need to have a proper structure. You prepare the cream, you practice, you make it before presenting, you log in and you end it. This game time is very, very important, which I want to be telling you. What is game time? Always see that when you have to be giving a webinar, your dog, your children, your wife is out of that particular place, and you go stay in one silent room. Point number 2 is close all your windows, close your curtain so that the noise is not being heard. Point number 3 is always try placing a water bottle or a glass of water next to you in case if your throat get dry and you cough, it's easy for you to keeping it. Fourth one, it is when you have to be giving a presentation or a webinar, see that you get well neatly dressed up and you sit. Point number 5 is usually what happens, we always sit in a place and all our screens has been closed. See that your screens are well closed so that it would be more effective. So one webinar tip, all the webinar tip is, you know the audience, you prepare well. One webinar tip is you need to game time. That is before giving a presentation, you have to be having this kept in your mind before doing. We'll quickly finish off my slides. Before to that, I'm doing an architectural part of it. So 7 tips is know your audience, prepare the presentation, write the outline or create the script, make your host schedule a practice session, log in early, game time, and after webinar. After webinar, please ask them to share their mail IDs. You can, if they have any question, they can do it or take the contact numbers to have the contact with them. Quickly coming back to what an architecture, a bit of architecture insight I would want to be sharing it. Now, a layman comes and asks me like, "What I want to be designing a sink. What can I be doing it?" So you just, instead of just telling or instead of just writing in your slide, pedestal, undermount, top mount, or farmhouse, what you could be doing is like you can show him by a pictorial representation. So if I have to be showing it, this is my undermount, this is my top mount, this is my pedestal, and this is my farmhouse. Everybody knows what a pedestal is. You need to have a height of a structure. This becomes your pedestal. A farmhouse is nothing but, in olden days, they used to have this kind of a sink where they could fill plenty of water, and here you could be using for washing. You could be, sometimes people used to take water and bath and also. This is nothing but this is a bigger one. Now, people would question me like, what is the difference between an undermount and a top mount? Being an architect, I know what's the difference. But to satisfy or tell what is the difference between these two, what I do is I place this to be my undermount sink. I tell them this is the way it has to be looking. So you have something which is called as one part which is being supported here. For this, you have the clips which is being supported, and they place this. This is the way undermount looks. And you can just show him this undermount here where it is a countertop, it's a mounting clip, fastener, all this comes here. My top mount is nothing but, it's just that you fix it up, you just bring that and you fix it up, and that's been fixed. The layer is being done in such a way that it's just that you bring the sink and fix it up. So this is the way you have to be showing it to people. Coming back to the next slides. How, if there is, this is my Corinthian capital. What's a capital? It's a head of a column. When I talk about columns, we have Doric columns, Ionic columns, and Corinthian column. When I was doing history of architecture as a student, I didn't know how to be drawing at all. So what I did is I teach the student how to be drawing this difficult picture in a very, very easy manner. So this is my picture. Shape number 1, so it has rectangle. Shape number 2, it has a scrolling kind of a thing. Shape number 3, again a round structure. Shape number 4, and this has been my shape number 5. Look at the way I quickly split up the pictures. I make the picture number 1 a rectangle and square. This is my picture number 1, rectangle and square. I make picture number 2, I take a J shape. Look at the J shape, I take it and I get, okay, before to that, I would be teaching the students how to draw a leaf. This is the way it has to be drawn, a leaf. So all my stuff then goes on in the form of a leaf. So this is my rectangle and square shape. Point number 2 is my J shape. 3 is to get this shape here and have the leaf structures, get the mirror image. 4 is again to have a rectangle, and my 5th is this. So when I join all this picture together, this is the way I draw it. And any picture, it could be architecture, it could be structure, any picture, we could be doing it very, very nicely, very easily. Any kind of difficult picture, if you give also, when you do in the form of a shape, you could be really, really finishing as quick. So this picture, I can just draw in a minute or 2 minutes and finish it off with a complete labeling part. My next thing is, if I have my picture and I don't know what it is. If I have to explain this, I tell a series of vertical line cut into surface. So I know what is a series of vertical line. The column was thin and fluted. So thin it is, everybody knows what is thin, but I don't know what is fluted means. Now coming back to this point, they tell unfurled acathis leaf. I don't know what is unfurled acathis leaf. So what I do is I teach, or you could be presenting in your presentation, that this is a column, it's very thin, and this is fluted. Look at it, how fluted is. Fluted is nothing but this is the way it's going to be. And what is acathis leaf? This is an acathis leaf. What is unfurled? Unfurled is nothing but a touch me not plant. When you touch, it opens. That's nothing called as an unfurled. And scrolling is nothing but you just try to open. You get invitation which they round it and give you and scroll it. This is the way, and this is a decorative. Look at the sentence. The most striking element of Corinthian order was its very decorative capital with a design of scroll and unfurled acathis leaf. Decorative capital, scroll, unfurled acathis leaf. This is the way any sentence or any word in a PPT presentation could be represented in a pictorial form. Next one, I was really impressed with Abraham John Architect. So what I did is I tried placing up few of his work. This has been a 5 villa here. So what I did, I first finished this exterior part. I place a big picture again. Here, I just want people to be playing with the shapes, with portrait and landscaping. So here is something which is nothing but this is my exterior picture. And here it is like I have 2 pictures. Most of the people question me, your presentation consists only of pictures. If there's no content written, I always tell them scroll down, you will find it. But still some of the people were like, no, can we have it there? So what I thought is, let me play it. So let me write it. So I wrote about this particular project, the content on the top here, and I put an arrow to specify what it is. Here it specified that it has a swimming pool surrounded with lot of greenery. So it's got a swimming pool and it has a lot of greenery. The next one is outdoor desert landscape garden. Look at this. This is an outdoor. It has a landscape garden. So this arrow represents this. This arrow represents this part of it. The next slide, the interior part again. So I put a lot of nice interior picture. There's something called high resolution pictures. If you have 1000 into 1000, about 1000, all these are high resolution pictures. And let me tell you, this presentation is to how to represent your presentation in the form of pictorial instead of having lot of text in your PowerPoint presentation. So this is sea facing penthouse. So here it is. I have my interior. I have my interiors here, and this is, and the content for this interiors would be given here. The next slide is, I've seen people putting a lot of pictures together and making it clumsy. So even here I have a lot of pictures, but what I've done is I've played with the forms. I've taken few pictures to be portrait. I've taken some pictures to be landscape. So what horizontal and vertical pictures, but placed in such a way that it is soothing for the people to look at, or the picture should speak more than what it has to be done. Again, these are the project of Abraham John Architect. My next one is nothing but, I looked at this picture. I was very impressed with this thing. I was really impressed with CENR, Science Gateway Building. CENR is nothing but their research company. That's an European research where they do on nuclear things. They do it, and this is a building which started in September, and it is going to get completed in 2022. When I had to look at this picture, this is an exhibition center for the people of all the age group. I went to Google, I put CERN Science Gateway Building, and I went and I looked at it, and there were a lot of content which I was not able to do, what to do, what not to do. I was searching what to have to be doing, what should I be reading. Then I thought, why don't I show to people how to be writing this in a nice manner. So what it is, I made this picture and I wrote all the content in one sheet. But I didn't make it in the form of a paragraph. I put all these stuff things in the form of what is something which is called points. So if something called CNA Science Gateway Building, this is in Geneva, it's in Switzerland. The client is CERN. The design is done by Renzo Piano Building Workshop, and the team is Belvedere and Piazza. And what it is, look at this. If I have to be telling, this is my first point, which states that the purpose of the project is to create a hub of scientific education to cultural, to inspire younger generation with the beauty of science. Coming back here, what is it? They have four major elements. So there are two circular elements, one horizontal element, another is also horizontal element. So they talk about something, how these elements are. The next one state that, the last one state that they have 400 trees and they wanted to be exploration and about nature. This is completely about the nature and the experiment and what the students have to be learning or any kind of group. So I felt instead of just showing a picture, instead of writing with a lot of paragraph, why don't I put in the form of a points where people easily come to know, where people will easily know that this is the way it is. Then I have these pictures. If you have to be talking, a few pictures I put it. So you have all these four parts here. I was talking about the tunnel part, the rectangle and the square. These are the 4 parts here. This is the way interior looks. This is the way the tunnel looks here. This is an exterior of how it looks. And this is also an exterior. So the main motto for me to be telling about the presentation skill is picture plays a vital role. If you have a lot of pictures, people would it makes people to understand it. Mentioned before, 55% of people understand by looking visually. That's my main motto for today's presentation. When I had to talk about architecture, when I did my thesis project, because I didn't know how to be doing in my thesis project when I completed my engineering, there were a lot of sheets which was being done with each and every part at one particular thing. But here what I did, my thesis project, if I would have done with all the details in one sheet, very elegant, very nice to be looked at, that would have been made me to be a performer. But I didn't do that. So I felt like thesis project should be done in such a way that people have to be looking down. People should have all the detail in the same place. So for example, it tells it's a legislative assembly, directorate, secretarial, governor residence. So each and everything tells what is what. See this? This is my project which was happening legislative assembly in Chandigarh. So here it is, master plan is happening here. Aerial view he's put on fine. He has put on fine for the view from the field and a master plan, and it's a capital complex Chandigarh. The concept is being put here. So any person need not go search where it is. So thesis project has to be done with a pictorial presentation where everything could be done. This is again one of the same thesis project, and I put an aerial view for it. He put an aerial view, and each heading, each thing has been highlighted with the red, and that explanation is being given here itself. So a thesis evaluator need not turn the sheet and go back. He can actually finish seeing each and everything there itself. So somewhere I felt that the thesis project also has to be done in the form of a pictorial presentation. This is again one of the pictorial presentation. Your floor plan is here, your views have been present here, and there's little bit of your public entrance, an atrium, and a court, how it is going to. So a little bit. So mostly I do agree text is also important, but please put the text, it's like where it explained crisp and clear, but very important is have a complete pictorial presentation for people to be visualizing. This is something which is related to my thesis project or architecture, how you could be presenting. Let's quickly come back to how to actually present during your webinars or presentation. There are only 3 steps you have to be presenting. Step number 1 is you introduce yourself with your name. Step number 2 is you tell people from where are you or for which company you're working. And third one is what is your motto to give the presentation. If I have to be introducing myself for today's webinar, I could just tell that, hello, good evening. My name is Gautami. I work as an assistant professor for MS Engineer College, and the main motto for me to give a presentation or a webinar is to tell to people that everybody is expert in giving their presentation, but added pictorial or a video could make them more effective. This is something you can introduce yourself. So 3-step, just tell your name. You have to be telling your which college or where you work is. And third, what is your main motto? The main motto is I wanted people to be learning how to be doing a presentation by a pictorial representation. That's it. The next slide is standing posture. I'll come back to the video if the time permits. Then visual aid. As I told you, visual aid plays a very, very important. Since, for example, if the person gives me this visual aid and asks me to cultivate a story, for me, everything would become a new thing. But how I would cultivate it, I would just tell them, I'll cultivate a story in just a fraction of a second and tell it to people. It is like 60 people of the viewers were learning the new software which they have been taught. They had to be attending a lot of webinars. They took a lot of photographs. The manager was completely telling them about the graph, about the money, about all these things. People listened to it patiently and worked hard, and the growth within a year went on to 200%. This is the way any picture, if you put on, the people should visualize it and try to explain it. This is something called as a visual aid. Voice is very, very important. When you have to be doing a presentation, you need to have your modulation, articulation. It's like modulation is like top pitch, everything up and down, up and down. You just can't go like, hello, my name is Gautami. You need to be like, hello, my name is Gautami, and so and so. So your voice and your volume has to be increasing depending upon the slide and the word what has to be stressed on. Appearance, yes, very important. When it comes to webinar also, it's very important that we get neatly dressed up. When it comes to your live presentation, we do have some protocols to be followed. For a man, it's always told that a black burgundy or a blue pant has to be worn. He has to wear a plain shirt, no check shirt at all. I don't know, in webinars people don't follow, but it's a live presentation. People should be doing with your plain shirt. A plain shirt color could be white color, it could be blue color, a light pinkish in color would be thin. It should be well sleeved, well ironed. Very, very important is there are 2 colors of belt you can wear. The first one is brown, the second one is black. And if your belt is black color, your shoe has to be black color. If your belt is brown color, your shoe has to be brown color. This is very, very important. Now comb your hair. If you have a French beard, well and fine. If you don't want to trim your mustache, well and fine. Just get neatly trimmed before you go give your presentation. For a woman, if she's comfortable with a suit, she can wear a suit, but it's always necessary, being an Indian, if you're comfortable to wear a sari and pin it. You wear a churidar or a kurta, wear it very neatly. You can wear your cosmetics, but it should not be dark in color. Your hand could be, well, you want a nail polish, put a light color, not the black color. Always see that your hair is well tied. If you want to leave your hair, you can leave your hair, but your hair should not touch your mouth. Your hair should not go inside your mouth. These are the few things. An appearance makes a person, first impression is the best impression. The way you appear is very, very important. So I would request during your webinars, during your presentations, people to take care of their appearance before they give the presentation. So it's not necessary that people run to the parlor and they go get dressed up and come back. No, anything you do it, you need to look elegant. Okay, this is very, very important, which I would want to be presenting. This completes more 3 slides. I complete my presentation. During a webinar or during a live presentation, it's very important that you make a strong start. So when I started my presentation, I told thank you, Anil sir, Surat sir, Shashank sir, and Ramko Siman for giving a opportunity. And I told that what today's presentation is. So during a webinar, always see that you make a strong start with a nice smile on your face, having the voice modulation. This would do it. Engage your audience in first 2 to 3 minutes. In webinar, you can't engage your audience, but still you can. If people ask me the question, webinar, how you're going to do it, because everybody is muted there, fraction of a second before the webinar or 5 minutes of time you can take it, and you could be asking them to draw something, or you can ask them to write few points. Just 5 minutes. You not ask them to tell the answers. You just tell them like, just write 5 minutes or 2 minutes before I go ahead the next slide. Engage the audience. Where it's a live presentation, I always make an icebreaker session. Even when it is my session of my class, I make an icebreaker session where people really sit in my class. I make them to be jovial, and then I start. So that's more important when you give a live presentation. And eye contact is something that shows how confident you are. You make an eye contact to people, it shows that. And if somebody asks me in a live presentation, if thousands of people is there, how to do it, even attention 1, 2, 3 should be given to people. It's not that you count 1, 2, 3 and go ahead. It's just that evenly keep distributing your eyes and see the people. When it comes to a webinar, your eyes has to be moving very fastly, not staring. During webinar, I have seen people to just staring and telling what there is. Just have a nice movement in your eyes, so that shows that you're confident enough. And every time we have something which is a smile, which is very, very important in our face. When you smile, people really get impressed. And during your webinar also, requesting people to smile and give it. I know that people will tell that we don't have time for all these things, but sometimes smile makes the person to be really, really nice. So when you smile and tell to people, people are interested to know what it is. The next point is passion through movement and gesture. Movement and gestures, how your hand movement is going to happen. How during a webinar you sit. I've seen people in a webinar just sitting in a position, just moving their slide. Instead, try moving your hands, your 2 hands. Sometimes what we try to do is, when our hands are moving around, we try to scratch our head. We try to touch it on our mouth. Instead, just have a pen in your hand. Keep your pen and try fiddling it. It's just like fiddling it like this. And don't try moving on to a lot of things where it gets distracted. Sometimes have a proper movement in your hand. In the same way, when you stand, when in your live presentation, have a distance, move around to one dais to the another dais. Just keep moving, not continuously, a little bit move around here and there. Next one is ask questions. In your webinars, you ask the question in the last, and here I would want to state is this presentation was not for technical, it was just that how to be presenting a presentation. Always see that you have a handout in case if you forget what the points is, you can quickly go and check out what it is. Humor does not happen in a webinar, but humor can happen in live presentation. You can quickly crack a joke and then go on. People ask me if it is a board meeting, still you want me to have a humor or what? In board meeting, you need not have a humor. With other small presentations, just have a quick humor and just go on to make people to be really, really interested. The next point is 10, 20, 30 rule. 10 slides, 20 minutes, 30 should be your font size. This rule, I feel people have to be following it. And the last one is you need to give attention to detail. Detail is very, very, very important where people would really, really get impressed with your presentation. Last 2 slides. Most of the people, we are very, very nervous. There are few points which has been written. You can actually go look at this point, but I would want to be telling something which is called as a Toastmaster. What is a Toastmaster? A Toastmaster is nothing but it's an event which happens where you can go to a particular place and see people giving presentation. Once you feel confident enough, you go there. Before presenting to people, join a Toastmaster. Sometimes they ask you to pay, you sit there, and then in the later stage, you people can go and you can start giving presentation. Once you start giving presentation and taking the feedback other people will really, really get interested. So this has been one of my points. The last 2 slides, when you do not know how to answer the question. When somebody asks you the question and you can't tell to them, no, I don't know the answer. For that, in a very subtle and nice manner, how are you supposed to answer? If you ask me a question, what is concrete cloth? And I don't know what the answer is. So instead of telling, no, I don't know the answer, you can just tell that was a wonderful question, but I have a little bit of confusion. Can I get back to you as early as possible? And can you share your email ID or a phone number for me to send you what the answer is? Repeating it, if somebody asks you the question, just tell you, thank you for this wonderful question. I'm a little confused on what the answer is. Can you just give me some time? I'll get back to you. Meanwhile, can you just give me your mail ID or phone number for me to be sending this answer? This is the way you need to answer, and don't go back to your desk and just leave it. pick up, search the answer, send back to the person, and this is the way it has to be answered. The next one is how to be summarizing. This has been my last slide for today. How to summarize your presentation. Your summarization is very, very important when you have to be giving. A summarization is nothing but you just need to summarize what you spoke about. Like for example, the concrete cloth, I gave you 3 pictures which states that I conclude my topic by stating that it's a time, fabric, saving. The second point I told that it could be it is durable, it's fire resistant. And the last point I said that no mixing equipment is required, only a pipe is enough. This is the way. So when you have to be summarizing your presentation, how I summarize my presentation, I just thank you for giving me an opportunity to be giving a presentation or a webinar. And I just want to summarize that in today's presentation, I have taught people how exactly to be presenting by pictorial representation instead of having lot of text. So my picture presentation was in such a manner that people were able to understand what my presentation is. I played few videos how the fixing of a concrete cloth was being placed. I thought few things about how to presenting, 2 points it, how to start it, how to end it, all these things. So this is the way you need to be summarizing your presentation. And this is something which I wanted to tell you people. Any questions, I'm ready to answer, but technical, no, it could be something related to presentation skill, and I'll be grateful to be answering. And thank you once again, Ramco Cement and Anil sir, for giving me this opportunity. Any question, kindly let me know for me to answer. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Architect Gautami, for that wonderful presentation. In fact, sometimes during webinar, one thing which we cannot avoid is the technical glitches. Sometimes, when it goes out of, when the bandwidth is not cooperating, or when there is a rain or a thunder, such things, sometimes, we need to sort it out also. Of course, technical glitches are not within our hands sometimes. Okay, that was a great one, because you had touched upon the most important aspect of adding visuals and videos to the presentation,
Yes,
rather than making it more text or data oriented. So there were a few questions regarding the presentation itself from Dr. S.P. Anchuri. He was saying nice presentation on how to present nicely. I think in webinar, all happens equidistant to all the participants, audio and video both. Can you tell us how to make panel discussions lively? I see many webinars, they say panel discussions, and we find no discussion rather than pre-planned talk with PPT. How to improve it?
Panel discussion cannot be happening. If you have a lot of people in a panel, you cannot have a webinar which is happening out here. Panel discussion happens only when there are few people where you can mute it and you can be discussing. For example, in a discussion of a presentation, you have 100 people. Those are the panelists who are sitting there. You cannot have that at all. So I would always state that panel discussion with a less number of audience. Fix an audience of 20 or 30 where you could have a discussion and things could be moving forward. I feel that is a point which I would want to be stating when it comes to panel discussion.
I think one of the points that he stated was that there are a few panel discussions where they have this pre-planned PPT, which makes it not a discussion at all, but a presentation. So I think probably that's the kind of confusion it happens. Sometimes it is not demarcated correctly, whether it is a panel discussion or a presentation. So that confusion comes.
Yes.
So another thing is that I think too much of any one thing, long panel discussion, single presenter flowing through slides, a series of website demos, one after the other, could make it a routine webinar. Do you agree? How to make technical presentation interesting where graphs, tables, charts, formulas are a must? Do you suggest any limitation in number of slides? Because some of times technical webinar, without formulas and without technical charts or tables, we cannot make a presentation. It is a must sometimes. So
okay.
How do we create a balance between pictures, tables, charts, and all those things?
Okay, there's something which is called as a whiteboard. You get it in Zoom meeting or you get it in Google also. So what people could do is you place it and you want to be explaining some particular formula or you want to do some technical things. You can use a whiteboard, go quickly write it out and then come back and carry on with it. So place it in such a way that they are evenly placed one after the other for people to synchronize and tell what is or how to be doing in a very technical. I feel technical. I do agree with a lot of things which is used. Try using whiteboards, try using pictures, try using placing it properly in order for people to better understand.
I think that's very interesting because it's very important that we put across our points in a more interesting manner. And the one most important thing that you touched upon was practice, because as they say, practice makes a man perfect.
Perfect.
And
Yeah.
one suggestion of how to join, clubs like Toastmasters, or they say that doing makes it all the more easier, and
Yes.
the muscle memory also takes it. So I think the more the number of presentation that one makes, I think it becomes that much easier,
Yes.
rather than and of course you had given some tips, and those tips has to be implemented, and then only I think the fruits can be, because until unless we do not implement those tips,
It
uh,
cannot be just when at all. So
yeah.
initially, when you have to be presenting, it's not very easy to be presenting with people of 100 people. So you practice it, you go present it into a number of people, and then go presenting is more very important.
And
When
I think mirror technique that you mentioned
yes,
also,
yes,
that is
stand in front
something
of the
very,
mirror.
yeah, because very often what happens is that expressions and
Yes.
talking with expressions, emotions becomes all the more difficult, especially for construction professionals, because
Yes.
hardly we have any,
Yes.
because we
That's
always
correct.
go by what is logical, what is fact based, and so there is no scope for emotions in all this. But then, after all, we are all human beings. I think when you include both expressions as well as facts into it, I think it makes all the more interesting, and you engage the audience, whether it's a one-to-one conversation or otherwise one-to-many conversation. I think engagement is the key.
Yes.
How
So
to connect with the audience.
yes. See, for example, you were talking about something called technical. We are not able to present when people are not getting engaged. So what you could do it when you start your presentation, you can have a 5 minutes of a slot where your people can pop up a question to a particular person or ask them to be doing something, or one or two people to just share it. Like just give them something technically, some you give them 4 5 words, ask them to just pitch the pictures, make a form kind of a small presentation. In case if you're not able to do during the webinar, you can do prior to the webinar. These are the techniques which you could be doing, and this is the way you can engage the audience also to make the presentation to be more interesting.
Because one thing is that if we have everybody on the panel or something like that, what happens is that normally
Yes,
the
sir.
bandwidth will not take. That is number one, because too many videos will not support the bandwidth, and second thing is that there will be too many disturbance. So I think
Prior. You could actually make it prior the webinars or prior the presentation. But it's a live
that is,
presentation. There's always that you can engage the audience by having an icebreaker sessions. There are a lot of icebreaker session if you just go. It's just for 5 minutes icebreaker session. You engage the audience, and then you have to be going ahead with whatever your presentation is. So start the presentation by engaging is very, very, very important when it could be anything.
but how do we have icebreaker during webinars?
Uh, Icebreakers during the webinars is I told you have a slot of 5 minutes and
I
give
mean,
them a question or ask them to write down what are the points. For example, today I was giving insight on presentation skill. So what the person you can ask them to pick up a paper. I don't know how many people will be honest, but at least 2 or 3 people will be honest. Just ask them to take a paper and just write 5 points of what they feel the presentation skill is.
okay, so I think that is very nice, and you can also give me some tips on how to become a better moderator, because that was another comment made by Dr. Anshuri, that see change in the first webinar and now because of practice. So you can also give me some tips on how
As
to improve. Say for example, there is a moderator, and many of us who are there in the chat box also, who are attending today's webinar, would also have to moderate events. So why don't you also give us some tips on how to be an effective moderator?
I feel that the best way to become an effective is like first thing is like you need to be practicing it. You need to your presentation should be in such a way that people would get attracted. That's a point number one. When your presentation is perfect, your speech has to be perfect. When your speech has to be perfect, you need to have a proper modulation. You need to have good vocabularies. You need to have your proper body language. Your expressions. All this should be added for people to become a moderator. As you said, the technical people always sit and take the technical part, but every human being is the same human beings. You smile, you look much better. India. So smile, have a proper movement in your hand, hold a pen in your hand, just try moving it out, explain it people, be lively. I know all of us are well experienced when we have to be giving a webinar. It's just that we are not being a good presenter. So what we could do is the expression, the movement, the vocabularies, the communication, the speech, all these are very important. And all this, you go to YouTube and you get a lot of videos how to be improving yourself. Pick up the videos, look at this, implement this, do a dry run 10 to 15 times if you're initially giving it. Otherwise, just 2 to 3 dry runs, and then you could go ahead with it. So
I think that's a lot of good tips that you have given, and I'm sure that we need to implement some of them, and then
Yes,
only we
definitely.
become perfect at it. And I would also urge all the construction professionals to give a note to this, because many times what happens is that if there is too much text in the slide, it becomes all the more uninteresting. So let us think forward on how to. But one thing is there, adding visuals and videos calls for a lot of involvement, as well as I think more time to prepare the presentations.
Yes, it definitely takes a lot of time. You need to really visualize it. But once you start doing it, things will really get, you can visualize it very quickly. So if I have to be, concrete cloth was something which I have to be doing something new. But I went to pictorial presentation, I picked up, so I didn't prepare it much at all. The picture itself, I knew what to be speaking and what not to be speaking. So initially it was a little tough for you, but later on it becomes very easy and you complete your presentation in 2 to 3 hours.
So thank you so much for that wonderful presentation, and I am sure that many of the students, because there are some of the students also who are attending, professionals, all of us, I think presentation and communication skills are one of those ingredients which we need to have it in our professional lives, because it takes us much higher when you have these skills. Because we have seen many brilliant minds, not able to express their ideas because of lack of presentation or communication skills. So I think all of us should work on it, should ensure how to make things simpler and connect to the audience. I think those were very good, nice way that you have presented. I'm sure that it would be useful to all of us. And thanks for joining us today, this Sunday evening, and sharing your valuable experience with us. So thank you once again.
Thanks a lot, sir, for giving me an opportunity, and thank you everyone. Thank you, sir.
And thanks all the professionals who have joined us. And let me also thank our host, Mr. Suraj Kumar, who had made these things possible, and Mr. Shashank Sharma for coordinating the event. So thanks all of you, and it was a good teamwork. Thank you so much. Have a great day, great evening, and stay safe. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir.
So we sign off from the event.
Thank you, sir.